The world of the Titans keeps expanding year by year. After the successful reboot of the Godzilla film series in 2014, the MonsterVerse rapidly increased its production of new movies, leading to many changes in the cinematic universe. But the real issue isn't even that, it's that viewers still don't fully understand where these giant monsters came from, when it all started, and what triggered their war in the first place. That's why I decided to make a video where I'll try to explain the complete chronology of events. This should help you make sense of what's going on and give you a clearer picture of the entire story. And I want to start at the very beginning with the history of Earth, the place where the original Titans began their path of evolution. It all started 4.5 billion years ago, when our planet Earth collided with a smaller planet called Theia, which already hosted the first forms of life. As a result of that collision, the Moon was formed, but Earth's atmosphere became unsuitable for the continued life cycle of the organisms from Theia. That's why they fell into an eternal slumber. Over time, though, Earth's surface changed, and 600 million years later, the first primitive life forms began to appear. But the most important event took place during the Cambrian explosion. During that era, the number and variety of species reached their peak. The first amphibians emerged onto land, and Earth truly became a living planet. 450 million years ago, this entire ecosystem was destroyed by the explosion of a nearby supernova. The death of a massive star brought with it the first mass extinction event on Earth, and it was during this moment that the first types of Titans emerged. The burst of gamma rays caused major changes in Earth's atmosphere. The planet's surface became radioactive, and the original life form from that very planet, Theia, awoke from its long slumber. These creatures fed on radiation itself. Their biology was vastly different from anything else living on Earth at the time. First of all, their cellular structure more closely resembled carbon nanotubes. This kind of structure not only gave them incredible durability, but also the ability to regenerate rapidly and grow at astonishing rates, with no limit to their size. Everything depended on the surrounding radiation, since Titans fed exclusively on it. That's when creatures like Methuselah, Godzilla, Rodan, Shima, Behemoth, Scylla, and many other monsters we're now familiar with first appeared. Some of the ancient Titans developed unique abilities. They could summon earthquakes, tsunamis, storms, typhoons, and other natural disasters, even trigger an ice age. But more on that later. The Age of Titans lasted for about 100 million years. During that time, several wars broke out between the ancient species, all fighting for dominance over the planet. Who exactly emerged as the victor, the Alpha, remains unknown. There's just not enough information. All we do know is that this Titan was the largest and most powerful of them all. It was he who ended the endless war, and by doing so, created an opportunity for a different kind of monster to rise. MUTO Prime, also known as Jinshin Mushi. This species was unlike other Titans in how it reproduced. They were parasites, multiplying rapidly and using other kaiju as hosts for their larvae. Around 350 million years ago, this species reached its population peak. They wiped out 90% of all Titans. The only one who could stand against them was the mysterious Alpha. Acting as the protector of all Titans, he created the Hollow Earth realm. All kaiju could pass through a wormhole-like portal and enter a world that closely resembled Earth, but where time moved much more slowly. That's where the Titans hid. Jinshin Mushi, however, couldn't enter this realm, so they started digging massive tunnels underground in an attempt to find a way into the Hollow Earth. But it was all in vain. Jinshin Mushi weren't just unique in reproduction. They were also the first monster species to have a hybrid digestive system. They fed on both radiation and flesh. But once the Titans disappeared, the Jinshin Mushi were doomed to extinction. Still, even they played a significant role in the evolution of monsters. It was these parasitic Titans that created the Hollow Earth. Their endless digging and search for the hidden world, over millions of years, shaped the vast underground realm that would later become home to a second kind of Titans, carnivorous monsters. Creatures like Kong, skull crawlers, and the massive kaiju all belong to this new branch of evolution. These titans no longer needed radiation to survive because they had developed regular digestive systems. After the reign of the Jinshin Mushi, the titans returned to Earth. The portals between the hollow Earth and the surface partially merged into a single network, forming what we now call the Earth Belt, a gateway that led to another world. The hollow Earth became home to most of the kaiju. You could say this separate realm followed its own evolutionary path. Life forms evolved in isolation there and ended up vastly different from the surface fauna. Only the most ancient and powerful titans were able to pass through the portals, and over time, they began re-emerging onto the surface. And once again, a war for the planet broke out because the supreme Alpha Titan had died during the creation of the portals. Around 270 million years ago, two titans, Titanus Gojira and Shinomura, became the dominant contenders for global supremacy. Earth trembled under their endless battles, but 20 million years later, two major events occurred, one on the planet Venus and the other here on Earth. The Titan Ghidorah destroyed Venus, his homeworld, and then made his way toward Earth. At that very moment, Godzilla and Shinomura were locked in a battle for dominance. Ghidorah arrived riding an asteroid, crashed into Earth's surface, and wiped out 95% of all life on the planet. This event is known to us as the Permian extinction. As a result of the asteroid impact and the arrival of the most powerful Alpha from the planet Venus, Earth's radiation levels dropped dramatically. Many believe that the alien species, Ghidorah, absorbed most of that radiation. After a long journey through space, Ghidorah was weak and clung to any chance of survival. But this had massive consequences because the Titans no longer had enough food, radiation, to sustain themselves. That's when they turned toward the planet's core, abandoned the surface, and became permanent residents of the underground world. Since the radiation from Earth's core wasn't sufficient, the Titans entered a deep hibernation. From time to time, some of them awoke and temporarily reclaimed dominance. Around 250 million years ago, while all the Titans were still asleep, one awakened on the surface, Shaima, the ice dragon. He was the cause of an ice age. But Shaima didn't rule the world for long. Like his kin, he eventually sought sustenance near the core of the planet. He awoke 3 more times after that, and each time Earth was plunged into another ice age because this kaiju commands the power of cold. In the end, the Titans settled underground and remained in hibernation for a long time. This gave Earth's surface a chance to recover. Life flourished again, and dinosaurs emerged as the dominant, abundant form of life. The planet became a vibrant paradise. Life forms reached their peak diversity once more. But 66 million years ago, a dormant titan, Rodan, awakened inside a volcano. He began searching for a new volcano suitable for hibernation, but his emergence proved catastrophic for the dinosaurs. Rodan flew across the globe, destroying volcanoes as he went. Endless eruptions filled the sky with ash. Sunlight could no longer reach the planet's surface, and the living organisms and plants that thrived in warm, humid climates couldn't survive Rodan's interference. After that, the Titan awakened many more times, but never had such a drastic impact on the atmosphere again. Around 50 million years ago, the Titans, who had long lived within the hollow Earth, found a path back to the surface. This place is known to us as Skull Island. Their emergence triggered a new war. Godzilla's father, Dagon, entered into battle against the tribe of Titanus Kong. He was joined by Behemoth, Mothra, and Godzilla himself. But just then, Ghidorah was awakened. Having heard the call of Almas, he flew to the island and summoned an eternal storm around it. A cyclone completely surrounded Skull Island, cutting it off from the outside world. We don't know who ultimately won that battle. There's only limited information. During the fight, the entrance to the hollow Earth was destroyed. As a result, the Kong tribe split. Some remained on Skull Island and ruled there, while others stayed in the hollow Earth. Ghidorah became the main threat to the Alpha, Titanus Gojira. But Godzilla and his father Dagon managed to hold back Monster Zero for thousands of years. Then 20 million years ago, Shimo awakened once again. The ice kaiju wanted to challenge Godzilla's right to be Alpha. A war began that lasted around 2 million years. Shimo formed an alliance with the primate kaiju Scar. and the titan Kamazots. Godzilla, in turn, gathered his own army. During this long conflict, Ghidorah intervened, not against Godzilla this time, but against Shimo, and Shimo managed to defeat the three-headed serpent, sealing him in a glacier we now know as the continent of Antarctica. Peace returned. Scar and Shimo were banished back to the Hollow Earth, and Kamazots managed to escape. At that time, the first humans had already begun to populate the planet, and they witnessed this entire war with their own eyes. They came to realize that the greatest parasite of Earth was Monster Zero. That's the name given to him by the ancient advanced civilization known as the Iwi. This culture began to worship the Titans who protected the planet from extraterrestrial threats. The Alpha from Venus brought hurricanes, storms, and destruction. We don't know how exactly these people learned to communicate with Godzilla or control him, but their alliance lasted for quite a long time. On the surface of the Earth, the ancient city of Atlantis was built, a vast metropolis where the Titan Godzilla lived among humans. They served their god, and in return received protection from the interference of other kaiju. At the center of the city stood a grand temple, beneath which was a mineral capable of storing the energy of Earth's core. A second city was built within the Hollow Earth, home to the Kong tribe. The locations where these structures were built are points of intersection for energy waves emanating from the planet's core. The mysterious mineral found there absorbed this energy, something akin to radiation. It seemed as though the mineral had been made for Titans. It allowed them to rest and recharge in these places. In Egypt, near present-day Cairo, in Giza, the ancients built pyramids, a home for Titan of Sekhmet, a massive lion with wings on its back. In Central America, the Aztecs tamed Quetzalcoatl, a bird-like creature that still slumbers beneath the city of Machu Picchu. Titan Tiamat was revered as a deity in Japan. This serpent-like monster is among the largest ever, with a length exceeding 250 meters. He protected the island for thousands of years, but eventually went into hibernation inside Stone Mountain in North America. In the tropical forests of Yunnan province, a temple was built known as the Temple of the Moth, the home of Mothra, and later her cocoon. Mothra is a guardian whose purpose is to preserve the planet's natural balance and ecosystems. She is Godzilla's main ally, as both Titans share the same mission: to destroy the unknown invader, the destroyer of worlds, Monster Zero. For millennia, the Titans continued to slumber. There simply wasn't enough radiation to sustain an active state of life. In 1100 BC, the Titan of the Gojira species, Dagon, lost a battle against MUTO Prime. The parasite implanted 2 larval embryos into Dagon's abdomen. They killed him from within and began feeding on his flesh. In 250 AD, the Mayan people discovered a creature deep within a massive karst cave, something resembling a horned bat. They named it Kamazots. Though the Titan was asleep, the Maya, through means unknown to us, predicted that Kamazots would awaken in the year 2012 and bring about the end of the world. In 680 AD, off the northern coast of Japan, a massive 8-headed serpent was spotted. The locals named the dragon Yamata no Orochi. According to eyewitnesses, the beast measured over 500 meters in length, almost 5 times the size of Godzilla, though it's likely the tale was somewhat exaggerated. In 1152, in Germany, Methuselah was seen. Weakened, he collapsed before reaching the coast, crushing a village beneath him as he fell into slumber. People began to call the Titans gods and pass down legends, stories of sea monsters attacking ships like the Titan Scylla. But over time, the era of Titans faded into myth. There was so little radiation that the Titans could only remain in an eternal sleep. Everything changed with the rise of human technological advancement, the dawn of the nuclear age. In 1945, atomic bombs were dropped on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The radiation awakened the Titans once more. The first to arrive, drawn to the aftermath of the explosions, was the Titan Shinomura, Godzilla's ancient enemy. He flew to the site and burrowed into the earth. The bombings also awakened Godzilla, who made his way toward the island. But along the way, he encountered a military ship that opened fire on him. The mega lizard had no choice but to strike back. The entire crew perished, except one lucky survivor, Bill Randa, who would go on to co-found Monarch, the organization dedicated to studying the Titans. In 1952, Officer Lee Shaw, Dr. Keiko, and the ever-lucky Bill Randa managed to discover a young ion dragon. They shared their findings with the military, who began to sponsor a project under the codename Monarch. That same year, they realized that these massive monsters feed on radiation, so they decided to lure one of them with an atomic bomb and detonate it. The idea was to kill the Titan and at the same time test a weapon of mass destruction, its effectiveness against kaiju. But what they didn't know was that they were doing Godzilla a favor, because the nuclear explosion didn't kill the Titan. It gave him a massive boost in power, but more on that later. Scientists and Monarch began to understand that these giant kaiju had to move around somehow. Yet for some reason, it happened silently, right in front of people's eyes. Bill Randa suggested that they were traveling underground. He was the one who came up with the Hollow Earth theory, a place where the Titans live. By chance, Bill, Shaw, and Keiko discovered a portal, but it wasn't Hollow Earth. It was the Interrealm, the very place created by an unknown ancient alpha to help the Titans hide from the Jinshin Mushi parasites. It's an intermediate axis that leads to Hollow Earth. An expedition led by Lee Shaw entered the portal. They managed to survive 7 days in that place. But then the Ion Dragon appeared and killed everyone, except Shaw. In 1973, the secret satellite Landsat discovered an island in the Pacific Ocean that wasn't on any map. Surrounded by an eternal storm, it had remained hidden from the human eye for a long time. As we already know, this storm was created by Ghidorah during the ancient battle for dominance. The Monarch organization decided to investigate the site. Bill Randa joined them. He still believed that there was another world beneath the surface, one that humanity had yet to uncover. That's why they asked the geologists to use seismic bombs. With the help of shockwaves, they could map out the cavities and understand what was underneath the island. But Kong, the island's main protector, wasn't too pleased with that idea. He quickly fought back against the uninvited guests. The thing is, beneath the island live the skull crawlers, massive, lizard-like monsters. These reptiles are Kong's sworn enemies. In the past, they killed the mega primate's mother and father. It happened just as his mother was giving birth. Kong's father tried to protect her and died in the battle. His mother managed to escape, but she too died from her injuries. Little Kong grew up alone. The only ones who helped him were the Iwi, the island's native people. When Kong matured, he was strong enough to drive the skull crawlers back underground, but the humans' interference woke the beasts once again, so Kong had no choice but to protect his home all over again. In the end, he managed to defeat their leader, the biggest and oldest skull crawler of them all. Bill Randa died during the expedition, but before that, he managed to throw all his research into the ocean, hoping it would reach Monarch's hands. The other survivors were able to tell the organization that Titans can live alongside humans and even help them when they're in danger. In 1999, the skeleton of Dagon was discovered in the Philippines. 2 MUTO prime larvae were found inside, lying dormant. But once again, due to human interference, one of the parasites awakened and headed toward the nearest food source, a nuclear power plant in the city of Janjira, located off the coast of Japan. The second larva was taken by scientists to a US nuclear waste facility, simply because they didn't know where else to store such a radioactive creature. But that turned out to be a huge mistake. Inside the facility, the MUTO prime fed on radiation and began to grow rapidly. In 2009, inside a pyramid in China's Yunnan province, Monarch scientists discovered a Mothra egg. Dr. Emma Russell, a researcher and member of the Monarch organization, developed a device called the ORCA. This transmitter is capable of replicating the signal that kaiju use to communicate with one another. The orca can even reproduce the alpha call, a signal that can help humanity, as it offers the potential to control all the Titans. In 2014, inside the reactor of the Janjira nuclear power plant, the MUTO prime cocoon began emitting a signal. It had been feeding on radiation for 15 years and had finally reached the point where it had enough energy to be born. The Titan's main weapon is its magnetic field. It can disable all electronics within several kilometers, which left the military powerless, blind and deaf. The MUTO shut down all communication lines and vanished right under the army's nose. Meanwhile, in Nevada, the second cocoon was being stored among nuclear waste. Scientists quickly realized that the signal MUTO Prime was sending out was a call, but when they checked the containment chamber, it was already too late. A much larger specimen had emerged and was headed straight for the city of San Francisco. It turned out to be a female. Naturally, Godzilla heard the call and rushed in to stop the two parasites. When he arrived in the city, he immediately engaged in battle, which raged on through the night. The US military and monarch quickly realized that the female MUTO was trying to build a nest. A special elite unit was sent in, and they successfully destroyed the entire clutch of eggs. Meanwhile, Godzilla had already taken down the male with a precise strike from his tail. Then he caught up with the female at the edge of the ocean, recharged his atomic breath, and unleashed it straight down the parasite titan's throat. By morning, as the dust settled, a weakened Godzilla rose and made his way back to his resting place. In 2019, while stationed at Monarch Outpost 61, Dr. Emma Russell witnessed a miracle. Right before her eyes, Mothra hatched from her cocoon. Using the Orca device, Emma managed to tune into the right acoustic frequency, which turned out to be the alpha call of Godzilla, and used it to calm the lava. The Orca had now become both the most important scientific breakthrough and the most powerful weapon. At that moment, terrorists stormed the outpost. They killed all the Monarch personnel and took Emma and her daughter Madison hostage. The leader of the terrorists was Alan Jonah, a former British Army colonel obsessed with the idea of natural selection. Alan believed the Titans should awaken and reshape the world, even if that meant massive human casualties. He had been preparing his plan for years, collecting Titan DNA samples and selling them on the black market. When he learned about Emma and the Orca, he realized he could use the device to awaken Monster Zero. The terrorists headed to Outpost 32, a location where the ancient monster Ghidorah lay dormant, frozen in the ice. Using explosives and the Orca, they woke him up. The three-headed monster immediately began destroying everything, killing the soldiers who had just arrived at the outpost. At that moment, Godzilla appeared, but missed with his atomic breath. Ghidorah countered, hurling Godzilla back and quickly disappearing into the night sky. Meanwhile, in Mexico, near Isla de Mara, another powerful titan, Rodan, was slumbering beneath Monarch Outpost 56. Alan and Emma wanted to awaken him, hoping he could challenge Monster Zero. With an acoustic signal from the ORCA, they woke Rodan. But as soon as Rodan heard Ghidorah's call, he flew straight toward the eye of the storm created by Monster Zero. The two clashed in the skies above the ocean, but Ghidorah proved far stronger. Rodan had no choice but to submit and accept the new alpha. Godzilla wasn't done either. He launched another attack on Ghidorah and even managed to drag him down into the depths of the ocean. That's when the military decided to take their one and only shot. They had developed an oxygen destroyer, a weapon powerful enough to wipe out all life within a 3-kilometer radius. Their plan was simple: eliminate both battling alphas, Ghidorah and Godzilla, in a single strike. So they dropped the weapon directly into the heart of the battle, just as Godzilla had started to gain the upper hand underwater, where he held the advantage. The explosion is followed by dead silence. Everyone holds their breath, but then Ghidorah emerges from the water. He's badly wounded, one of his heads is missing, yet the monster survives, thanks to his incredible ability to regenerate. Soon enough, he grows a new head. Godzilla, on the other hand, is dying. The blast has critically weakened him, and his vital signs are nearly gone. Monster Zero has won. He becomes the new Alpha, King Ghidorah. Now it's time to summon all the Titans and bring them under his control, so they can lay waste to the Earth. King Ghidorah lets out a thunderous roar that echoes across the entire planet, and across every continent, dormant Titans begin to awaken. Scylla, Methuselah, Behemoth, MUTO Prime, Sekhmet, Typhon, all of them. Emma and Alan realize they've made a terrible mistake. They believed that with Godzilla gone and a new alpha in place, the Titans would stop fighting and the war would be over. But Ghidorah is not what he seems. This monster isn't here to bring balance. He's here to command the Titans to destroy the Earth, wipe it clean, and build a new kingdom where there's no place for humanity. The only one who could stop him is Godzilla. But unfortunately, he's dying. His radiation levels are critically low, and Monarch scientists can't locate him in the vast ocean. That's when an old friend and ally comes to the rescue, Mothra. With her glowing wings, she illuminates the place where the wounded Godzilla lies. The only way to revive the great lizard is to give him a dose of radiation, to detonate a nuclear bomb near him. But Godzilla has begun to sink deeper into the ocean floor. Mothra follows the fading alpha, tracking his descent. Thanks to her, humanity is able to trace his path. Dr. Ishiro Serizawa and a team of military personnel decide to dive into the ocean in a submarine. They follow the trail, which leads them to an ancient, sunken city, Atlantis. This is Godzilla's birthplace, the place where 10,000 years ago, humans and Titans once coexisted. Serizawa takes a suitcase with the bomb and makes his way into the temple. There, he sees the Titan, slowly dying. Godzilla has returned home. Serizawa sets the timer and, sacrificing his own life, detonates the bomb. Her radioactive energy gives Godzilla the vital charge he needs. Fueled by this surge and aided by humanity, the Titan regains his strength and heads back into battle. Meanwhile, King Ghidorah and Rodan have already begun laying waste to the planet. The city of Boston is reduced to ruins. Humanity's weapons are useless. Nothing can stop the oncoming apocalypse. The three-headed dragon wields an energy attack similar to Godzilla's atomic breath, but 3 times more powerful. Each of his heads can fire a separate beam, allowing the new alpha to obliterate entire city blocks in an instant, wipe them clean off the map. That's when Godzilla arrives. Recharged and ready, he charges into the fight once more. But this time, he's not alone. Mothra joins him, using her sticky webbing to trap King Ghidorah. Together, they start to turn the tide. But then Rodan swoops in to defend his new alpha, drawing Mothra away and splitting the battle into 2 fronts. Eventually, Mothra manages to sting Rodan with her deadly stinger, and the wounded Titan crashes to the ground. Meanwhile, the Mega Dragon taps into another terrifying ability, the power to absorb electrical energy. He locates a power station and draws in all its electricity, triggering his peak form. Now Monster Zero is more powerful than ever, and even Godzilla struggles to keep up. Ghidorah lifts Godzilla high into the sky, to the upper limits of the atmosphere, and drops him. The impact is catastrophic. Godzilla crashes to the ground, completely drained. He doesn't even have the strength to stand. That's when Mothra comes to his aid one last time. In a final act of sacrifice, the giant moth transfers all her remaining energy into Godzilla. This stabilizes the Titan and triggers his transformation into peak thermonuclear form. His body, infused with the energy of Mothra, begins to emit shockwaves with the temperature of a star, causing everything around him to melt. Naturally, even King Ghidorah is no match for such power. He ends up beneath Godzilla's feet and dies. Balance is finally restored, and all the Titans come to bow before their alpha. Godzilla becomes the leader once again and earns their recognition. Meanwhile, the most intriguing events are happening off-screen. At Ghidorah's call, Camazotz awakens, the god of destruction, worshipped by the ancient Maya. He didn't respond to Godzilla's summons because these 2 species are sworn enemies. Camazotz chooses to hide on Skull Island. There, he creates an impulse that causes the storm left behind by Ghidorah to move towards Skull Island and eventually merge into a single, massive cyclone. He hopes this will keep him hidden. The island falls into darkness and becomes uninhabitable. Kong is forced to defend his home and manages to defeat Camazotz by throwing him into a rift leading to the Hollow Earth. But Camazotz's interference proves catastrophic. Skull Island turns into a living hell. The Monarch organization comes to Kong's aid. They construct a massive dome to protect part of the island from Ghidorah's storm. The project is led by Dr. Eileen. Her mission is to preserve the life of the Titan, but Kong isn't exactly thrilled about living in confinement. His only solace is a little deaf girl named Gia, who has found a way to communicate with the Titan. Unfortunately, the Megadome, as huge as it is, can't withstand both Kong and the constant storm, so the scientists must move the primate elsewhere. The problem is they need to cross the ocean, and if Godzilla senses the presence of another alpha, he'll come to destroy the threat for sure. For now though, the mega lizard is preoccupied. On the other side of the world, Godzilla attacks the city of Pensacola, Florida, and destroys the Apex Cybernetics hydroelectric plant. That's not like an alpha at all. He attacks a civilian facility without warning. No other kaiju appear, and his actions seem senseless. But the truth is different. Apex has secretly been studying the Titans and gathering data for a long time. At one point, they even helped Dr. Keiko escape from the Interrealm. We remember that Keiko was one of the 3 co-founders of the Monarch organization. Apex signed a contract with her and her son Shiro. Keiko shared classified information, all the knowledge she had spent years gathering about the Titans. Apex's director, Walter Simmons, became obsessed with the idea of controlling the kaiju. Apex has the resources, influence, and money to carry out any ambition. In some areas, their knowledge about the kaiju even surpasses that of Monarch. That's why they're preparing their own mission. Apex scanned the entire Earth and discovered that beneath the surface lies a hidden world, equal in scale to the surface itself, a vast kingdom with its own unique flora and fauna. It remained inaccessible to humans for ages, so Walter Simmons of Apex recruits Nathan Lind, a former Monarch scientist who became a Hollow Earth theorist. Simmons wants Nathan to guide them through the portal and locate a mineral capable of absorbing energy from the Earth's core. Apex knows that a Titan is needed to activate the portal. Keiko told them this since she had already been to the kaiju world. Near every portal lives a young Titan. It could be anyone, even Frostbear. But Apex managed to find a massive portal in Antarctica, one that was completely unguarded. So Nathan travels to Skull Island, meets with Eileen, and convinces her to use Kong as a guide to the energy source. His argument is hard to refute, especially since Eileen also believes in the Hollow Earth and wants to hide Kong from Godzilla. And maybe, just maybe, the mega primate will find his true home there. In the end, Eileen gives her consent. The mission to rescue Kong is anything but simple. It requires massive resources and military support. Kong is chained to a heavily modified barge. He's given a powerful sedative to calm the mega primate. In this tranquil state, they actually have a real chance of successfully transporting him. When they're already halfway across the ocean, a sudden SOS signal goes off. That can only mean one thing. Godzilla isn't happy about Kong's presence and has come to kill him. There's only room for one alpha, and that title belongs to Godzilla. The rival must be eliminated, so the lizard starts the fight, and it's far from a fair one. Kong can't swim, and Godzilla takes full advantage of that. He tries to drag his opponent to the bottom of the ocean. Kong is helpless and unable to fight back. He needs help. That's when the humans decide to use a deep-sea sonar bomb. It's meant to temporarily stun Godzilla. This gives them a small window to save Kong, and the plan works. Kong breaks free from the jaws of death, but he's too exhausted to keep fighting. Then Nathan comes up with a new plan. Cut the engines and play dead. It works. Godzilla believes he's won and leaves the battlefield. But now a new problem arises. They can't keep using the ship for transport, or the Alpha will come back. So the team finds another way. Using helicopters and a massive net, they airlift Kong to Antarctica. There lies Apex's secret lab and the portal to the Hollow Earth. When Kong wakes up, he's disoriented and confused. His only friend, the girl Gia, points the way. She explains that this is his home, and maybe his new family awaits inside. Apex has designed special anti-gravity ships. Since gravity works differently in the Hollow Earth, flying inside it would be impossible without new tech. Following his instincts, the primate steps through the portal and finds himself in his ancestral home, a place where his clan lived for thousands of years. The Hollow Earth is a truly stunning and beautiful world with its own ecosystem, hidden from the surface for ages. Kong discovers a massive door. It's the entrance to a temple once inhabited by his kind. The colossal structure is steeped in history. On the ground, he sees remains of the Titanus Gojira species and realizes a great battle took place here. Maybe his entire clan was wiped out. Inside a skull, he finds an axe, crafted from the dorsal plate of the mega lizard. At the heart of the temple lies the throne room, perfectly sized for Kong. On the floor, a mural depicts dozens of similar axes. The mega primate starts to realize the purpose behind the temple's construction. The weapon he found begins to glow. It's clearly absorbing the energy of this place. Then Kong notices a strange indentation in the floor, shaped exactly like his axe. So he decides to return the weapon to its rightful place. Once the pieces fit, Earth's energy begins to concentrate in the axe's blade, forming the silhouette of Godzilla. This is how the ancient Titanus Kong species once charged their weapons, to use them in battle against the Gojira kind. Meanwhile, back on the surface, Madison, the daughter of the late Emma Russell, infiltrates Apex's secret laboratory, and she uncovers the company's biggest secret. The scientists have created a giant robot, MechaGodzilla. They embedded part of the brain of the deceased monster Zero into it. Using the skull and a neural link, they managed to build a control system. The robot is piloted by a human, but there's one problem. It needs a powerful energy source, the mineral found only in the Hollow Earth. That's the real reason Godzilla had been destroying Apex's infrastructure. He sensed the presence of an alpha. He thought it was Kong, but when the lizard once again felt the presence of the primate and the mineral's energy, he began tunneling straight down, toward his rival. This time, the primate has no choice but to accept the challenge. He now holds the weapon of his ancestors and with it, a chance at victory. The battle is intense but brief. For a moment, it even looks like Kong might win, but the alpha's power and experience prove too much. In the end, the primate succumbs to his injuries. Meanwhile, Walter Simmons activates MechaGodzilla, using the mineral's power and Hollow Earth energy. But the robot quickly goes rogue. Ghidorah's brain is still alive. It has awakened. Along with it, Monster Zero's urge to destroy the planet returns. Godzilla has gone from the frying pan into the fire. He hasn't even recovered from the fight with Kong, and now he faces a new enemy, one that is powerful and heavily armed. This time, he can't do it alone. MechaGodzilla was designed with a single purpose: to kill titans, its durability rivals that of Godzilla, and with the energy of the Hollow Earth, it's far stronger than any other kaiju. Its fiery breath instantly obliterates everything in its path. Godzilla doesn't stand a chance, but hope never dies. Little Gia senses a faint heartbeat. Kong is still alive, though he's hanging by a thread. Nathan comes up with a plan to save him. He wants to use the anti-gravity engine from their ship to send an electric shock into the dying primate's heart. So he places the ship on Kong's chest and detonates it. The jolt brings him back to life, leveling the playing field against MechaGodzilla. Gia pleads with her friend. He has to help Godzilla. And just when it seems like the alpha's end is near, Kong joins the fight. Together, they manage to hold off MechaGodzilla. The mega lizard charges Kong's axe with atomic breath, and with one final strike, Kong tears the metal beast apart. At last, the ancient battle is over. Kong slams the war axe into the ground, and Godzilla, without a word of thanks, simply turns and walks away. Thank you for watching until the end. Your opinion matters to me. Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos.